Page 70. Product labeling, substitution, sampling, and analysis. This was my attempt to really find statutory compliance or comply with the requirements, and there are several of them in the statute that deal with labeling. And to require that the products have a list of all chemical additives, non-organic pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, and so on. Again, that's, I believe, statutory language. For control purposes, I added a license number of the manufacturer, grower, center, date of manufacturer, harvester, sale. I said strains and license numbers. I don't know that strains is really reasonable at this point. Probably license numbers for control purposes. And a registry number of the purchaser. Edibles should also contain that the product's infused with, and it's the statutory language, I'm not going to read it. And then sub C, all licensees for the sale of medical marijuana shall, upon request of the MED or any of its, instead of officers, I just changed it to employees, make available to the person so requesting a sufficient quantity of medical marijuana to enable laboratory or chemical, laboratory sampling or chemical analysis thereof. Licensees shall be notified of the results of the sampling analysis without delay. Again, this is a common practice that we use in our other regulatory occupations. If we have a reason to believe that there's a tainted product or a fraudulent product out there, we have the ability to go in and ask for a control sample from the licensee, and we'll take the tainted or suspected sample, and we do a chemical analysis on them to see if 1 and 1 equals 2. So, Jessica?
My first comment about this, it seems almost impossible to have the patient's registry number on my label for my package when I'm packaging that probably days before the patient is going to get to it.
And I wasn't, this isn't at the wholesale tier, this should be from the center standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I also just see that I think, I guess I would my first question would be, what is the statutory precedent for putting the patient's registry number on the actual label, which I think is probably not respecting the patient's right to privacy?
The larger concern with that might be that half the patients in Colorado don't have numbers yet.
That too. So I just think that right there is sort of...
And are you talking about edible products here or smoking products?
Everything. I was everything.
This was everything. It does have specific areas for edibles as well. If you look at B, B's generic for everything, and then the quotes is for edibles.
That's extra.
This is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that that's extra stuff that we get to put on our label. It's great.
Yes.
But let me ask you, if you read the quote and when you said the statutory, aren't we charged about seeing oversight with regards to the cannabis that's going to be going into the edibles as well? I thought that was part of our deal.
Well, obviously, we're concerned about the herbicides, pesticides, and all the other things, but that is a statutory requirement. I mean, I have no discretion.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Okay, so that's in there. Period.
Yeah. Jill?
I'm wondering, because this list could get quite long and we're concerned about size of packaging, can we put a label that says for list of all chemicals, additives, see our website, or see the list posted on our wall?
What we had talked about at the last meeting, I believe, was that, like when you go to a pharmacy and buy meds, they sell you a little bottle, and you get an 8 by 10 sheet of paper that has all the information attached to it. I think that's a common practice for pharmaceuticals, and it probably would be a
That's what we're going to do. That's what we're
very
doing.
nice to hear. That's the last meeting.
Then can the patient opt whether or not they take that sheet every time, so you have it available to them that if they choose not to take that sheet every time they come in?
I think you put it in the package and give it to me.
And just wording, in addition, all labels shall include, does the word label refer to this additional sheet?
That's what that would be.
It could be labeled or inclusions, product information sheets, or however we wish to phrase that.
I think,
And that was
kind of-
Norton's idea.
Yeah, I will, go ahead, Jessica.
like my reading of this makes me go back to feeling that this probably should be separated into two sets of regulations, one of which would apply to the actual paper, sheet where you could have a whole list of information, and another set of information about the label that should be on every package that says what the ingredients, expiration date, and actual product are, that, we can't leave that off of this and just say, oh, well, they're gonna, when the end user has this package at home, you still want something on there that says, keep away from pets and children, on the actual package, on the pill bottle, or on the edible, or on the bottle of tincture.
I agree.
And I think this needs to be separated into two separate sets of things. The guidelines for what should be on the patient information, label, you want to use the term label for that, I don't think the word label is the right word for that. And then the label itself should include the actual health, safety, and efficacy information and medical warnings. Because you're talking about so much smaller space, but when you are using that small space, you need to maximize some important information in that actual small space.
Docs, is there something, at least from a pharmaceutical standpoint, way I'll approach this, that is there a minimum information we should require on the packaging of the product itself versus information that we could provide on the 8x10?
And
That
that
would be your recommendation. I mean,
Well,
obviously,
first,
product name.
Well, that's following up on you. This is to be determined.
Okay.
We are in the process of.
Okay.
Well, I think at a minimum, it should probably have the tracking information.
Yes.
Because in the event there's an adverse effect in some way, we need to be able to trace it back.
Right.
Secondly, I think it has to identify probably, I'm wondering how specific it should be as to what's actually in this. Is this a hash product? Is this a Roundup leaf that's been thrown in your bag? I don't know, that's something for discussion. But it needs, at a minimum, it has to be traceable, and of course, the medical warning.
So, the actual product itself, for instance, if I sell a product to another MMC, my MMC number or what have you, in my mind, should be on that label, so in order to track the medicine itself.
Correct.
And on that note, I have the same question. It says license number, the manufacturer, grower, or center. That can be interpreted as just one license of the ultimate person or ultimate center who sold it. I wonder if language wouldn't be helpful, additional language wouldn't be helpful to say license number, the manufacturer, grower, or center, or cultivation if different, or even a separate category for those exact
Right.
situations. So that there would be two tracking numbers on there, of the center and then
And the grower.
the grower.
But those are the same.
Sounds
They
good.
are the same though?
Unless you have
I have-
multiple gardens.
Well, they could be different.
Oh, well, if it's part of the 30%.
Exactly.
Now,
I
here's-
need to track, of those 30%.
Yeah.
As far as MIPS are concerned, because you can mix from 5 different centers, I would recommend that that be something that we put on the product information list, and that the MIPS license be the tracking number, the batch number, the tracking number for the actual batch of edibles be the tracking number on the package. Because
Okay.
again, we're going back to a small package. So I think that the end seller should have their license number on the actual package, and the patient information should have all of the history of where it's come from. So that we can
Let's do
track
this,
it.
because we're not gonna reach consensus at the table, we have too many different interests, but what I think is best, is for the MIPS group to address the MIPS issues, keeping in mind that this is sort of our template in the conversation we've had around here, the minimum things that need to be on there are the statutory things, license numbers, and as Mr. Durkin has pointed out, if there are multiple places involved, that kind of information. Your recommendation for an information sheet, and let's do the same on behalf of centers. Both the large and the small centers, if you would. I know I believe you two are working together.
Yes,
on these kind of things. Would you add it to the list of things for a recommendation?
And especially tracking numbers, because it's probably like 7, 8 numbers are gonna be on the list, so from different, where along.
It seems